Final Fantasy VII. Phoenix down. Hi everyone, and let's start.
Oh no, they got Red 13. Quick, Aerith, use a Phoenix down.
Okay.
Welcome back, buddy.
Welcome back, buddy.
Let's get this guy.
Cloud, no. Phoenix down, now.
On it.
Phew, thanks guys. That was a close one.
Sephiroth, what are you doing here?
Blah, 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 something about mothers, and now your time is up.
You monster!
He stabbed Aerith. I think she might be dead.
You think she might be dead? You actually drowned her, so...
Should we use a Phoenix down?
Nah, I'm sure she'll be okay. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where I'm here to remind you, toss a coin to your Witcher, toss a gill to your Theorist.
Oh, I get it. Toss a gill to your tourists, toss a coin to your Witcher. Oh, valley of plenty, oh, valley of plenty, oh. Anyways, let's continue.
I gotta say, us gamers are lucky. Lucky that all the craziness of 2020 is happening now, this year. Last year, if we were stuck in the house around this time, we'd only have Kingdom Hearts and Resident Evil to play. Great games, to be sure, don't get me wrong, but kinda a limited selection. Was that really all there was? Let me check the list. Oh yeah, there was also Anthem. Yeah. But this year, we've got ourselves Doom Eternal, Animal Crossing, a new Ori game, another Resident Evil game coming out, Persona
Don't forget Spider-Man.
5 Royal, Half-Life Alyx if you have a spare liver you can sell to afford the darn thing. It is a bad time in general, don't get me wrong, but it is a good time to be a gamer, so at least we have that. And of them all, the one I'm most psyched about is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It has been 15 years since Square Enix released a tech demo for this thing, way back in 2005 for the PS3.
Well, one is 16 years ago, you know, 2005.
Oh, I remember that menu sound. Nostalgia feels right there. But finally here in 2020, we are getting the remake to the fantasy that completely reshaped the RPG world back in 1997. And yeah, I know it's divided into parts, but have you played the demo yet? Have you heard that music? Nobuo Uematsu getting called back to reimagine his original score is right up there with John Williams and the Star Wars soundtrack. I don't care what you say about the new movies or this new game.
The nostalgic feeling just, aww.
Gets you in the feels when you hear that music. I could gush about how well everything is being handled here, but if I'm being honest, I think if Squeenix did it any other way, they'd suffer huge losses. I mean, we are talking about a massive IP here, and the biggest game in that IP. One that has literal childhoods and decades of nostalgia hanging on it. You screw that one up, it really might be their Final Fantasy, if you know what I mean. Seeing how positively it's been received so far, though, I don't think it's gonna be that much of a problem. Just think, I'll be able to relive all the most memorable moments from this game again. The Mako reactor bombing, the motorcycle escape, walking away from the console to get a drink every time Sephiroth casts Supernova, only to come back to see that it's still only halfway through its animation, buying a pair of used underwear from a vending machine to make my cross-dressing so realistic I can seduce the local slumlord. I mean, these are really iconic and shockingly formative memories from my childhood.
The last part is bit on the nose there. Yeah, the last part is a bit on the nose there, so yeah. Yep.
Of them all, I think it's safe to say that the most memorable for everyone who ever played this game is that time Sephiroth plunged a 6-foot blade through everyone's favorite flower girl Aerith midway through the game, thereby perma-killing her. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was an influx of people seeking mental health services after they reached that scene in HD. Definitely gonna be kicking up some long-forgotten PTSD there. But you know, every time that scene is brought up, there's always the follow-up discussion centered around 2 words: Phoenix down. Why didn't Cloud world use a Phoenix down? Why did he just drop her into that lake? Why did Aerith have to die? Well, today, loyal theorists, I'm gonna throw in my 2 gil and put an end to this 23-year-old debate. I have the definitive answer to the Phoenix down debacle. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's mosey. For those of you who haven't taken a deep dive into the world of Final Fantasy lately, and I mean like the cumulative collection of the series, allow me to shed some light on why this debate has stuck around for as long as it has. In every Final Fantasy game, there's an item called a Phoenix down that brings your fallen allies back from 0 HP. Its name comes from the legendary Phoenix and its down feathers, the fluffy undercoat of feathers that act as insulation under the outer layer of feathers. The Phoenix is gifted with the ability to be reborn after death, starting life anew from its ashes. Now, the story goes, if one possesses the down of a Phoenix, they can use the Phoenix's power to bring people back from the dead. So, you can see the issue here, right? If Cloud and company have an item that can revive the dead, why don't they just use it to bring Aerith back to life, like they do in pretty much every other battle in the game?
True, they use it in every other battle in the game.
Generally speaking, there have been 2 schools of thought on the matter. One that says Aerith is simply too dead to be revived with an item like that, or along the same vein, she chooses not to come back because she wants to go into the life stream to help Cloud later in the game. The other school of thought says that it's just a plot device needed to create drama, and I mean, well, obviously that's a big part of the reason. Wouldn't be the first time either. There are a handful of entries in the incapacitated due to plot trope from Final Fantasy games. But you see, I think there is an actual reason. In fact, I think there are several reasons, all supported by the game's universe, for why the Phoenix down would be completely useless in Aerith's situation. You see, there's a bit of a problem with the type of power that the Phoenix down claims to yield. This is something that's never been addressed in any Final Fantasy. If the Phoenix down allows you to revive the dead, well then why isn't anyone using that to bring back other people who die? And I'm talking about people other than characters in fantasy adventures who line up in neat little rows of 3 to bash a tonberry one at a time. What about the normal people in this world? The people who die from illness, the people who die from accidents, or heck, even old age. It's not like Phoenix downs are hard to get in this world. They're sold in mainstream stores and are relatively affordable. At 300 gil, these things are less than the cost of a single Molotov cocktail, which, as we all know from the Joker,
The thing that they have in common, they're cheap.
apparently the powers
True,
over life and death are gonna run you about the same cost as a set of batteries from your local wall market. Phoenix Downs, they just let you keep going and going and going. Suck on that, Energizer Bunny. So if no one is using these things on the regular, it again begs the question, do Phoenix Downs actually revive people at all? Now, one of the great things about RPGs is that just about everything is documented pretty darn well, from item descriptions to explanations on status effects. Case in point, Final Fantasy XIV has an effect called Chaos, whose description informs you that your character is suffering from a, quote, mental breakdown and can't move. An excuse that I am certain to start using from here on out. Sorry, I just can't come to your super cute, adorable little 3-year-old's birthday party. You see, I'm suffering from chaos right now and I can't move. No, it is definitely a real thing. So what did I find while
Yeah, you see, it's definitely a real thing that I didn't make up. It's not fictional thing, definitely a real thing. Yeah.
Powering through tome after tome of all these status ailments? Well, for starters, the original Final Fantasies, 1, 2, and 3, are the only games that refer to the condition HP 0 as dead. 1 calls it slain, 2, translated from the Japanese manual, tells us that the white mage is able to cast raise, which, quote, raises a deceased character, end quote, and 3's manual simply lists the ailment as death. Interestingly enough, from 4 up until the latest entry 15, the condition of HP 0 is listed as something other than death. Depending on the game, HP 0 could be swoon in Final Fantasy IV, wounded in Final Fantasy VI, but most commonly it's referred to as a KO. Final Fantasy 15 just calls the condition down, and if we're really gonna hammer the nail in this coffin, the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo states party members as unconscious when they hit 0 HP. Party members not being dead when HP hits 0 isn't a new concept for the series either. In fact, it was shown in pretty high detail in Final Fantasy Tactics, a game from 1997. Characters whose health is brought down to 0 have 3 full turns before they permanently die. A very clear indication that they're not actually dead, they're only bleeding out, or fatally wounded or whatever, because after that 3rd round, then and only then does the character become lost forever. This behavior is picked up again, although without the permadeath angle, in Final Fantasy XII, where characters would kneel down when they ran out of health. This has been the trend in all single-player Final Fantasies ever since. Even the remastered editions and re-releases of those ones I mentioned earlier, Final Fantasies 1 through 3, all replaced
1, 2,
mentions
3.
of death. Now they're KO. So I think
So instead of death, they put in KO. More family friendly, I guess.
I think we have plenty of evidence here to support that Cloud couldn't use a Phoenix Down on Aerith to revive her because Phoenix Downs don't actually revive the dead. They revive the unconscious or heal the wounded. In the circles that discuss the Aerith Phoenix Down issue, this is pretty well known at this point, but that isn't good enough for me. I need to take it a step further, because seriously, these are apparently tufts of feathers from a bird that revives itself, supposedly imbued with magical properties, and yet they can't revive the dead even though they've been said to do exactly that. I mean, talk about your false advertising. I was promised a cure for death here. Heck, that means that the Phoenix Materia is also incapable of reviving the dead, and that is literally summoning the freaking Phoenix to come onto the battlefield with you. So what happened? Why can't the Phoenix bring people back from the dead? Well, I think I found the answer, but it wasn't as easy as looking through status effects and translating manuals. Theorists, both young and old, ladies and gentlemen, I propose to you that the Phoenix is dead.
What? You just crossed the line, buddy. Hey, bro. You just crossed the line, buddy. You just crossed the line. No, you can't do that. You can't just say the Phoenix Down is RIP. You can't. Gosh.
Dead. Not coming back kinda dead. Mythological rule-breaking dead.
What?
Just how did I come to this conclusion? Well, it all starts with the Alatap rumors from Final Fantasy XII, a section of the game that provides in-world explanations and descriptions for the various items. After the player defeats a dragon called Twintania, you unlock the Alatap rumor for the Phoenix Down, which tells us the following. The Undying Phoenix is said to call back souls from the heavens, but to win the attention of such fabled bird, you must give up a feather as an offering. The best are the downy feathers of the tail, hence the term Phoenix Down. See? Mark well that not just any feather will do. Depending on quality and size, the blessing received varies greatly. Displeased? You get what you pay for. Kirik the Pugilist. Now, this is the first and last time that anything outside of the menu item description is given to us about the item in question. What Kirik is telling us here is that you have to give up a feather as an offering to the Phoenix.
Not a magic, not fire bird
Not
feather.
the down of the
An actual literal down feather from a real life
Phoenix itself. Depending on the quality and the size of the feather, the Phoenix is gonna bless you with something equal to the offering. But the most intriguing bit of information here is Kirik's final line. You get what you pay for. In Final Fantasy VII, a Phoenix Down will run Cloud about 300 gil. 300, that's it. It's not a lot of money in this game. To put that in perspective, a tent costs more. I mean, for crying out loud, some of the nuts and grass that you're shoving down your chocobo's gullet for breeding purposes costs 10 times as much. Here, there are feathers trying to impress a Phoenix enough to revive the dead, and here is future chocobo turd. It is no wonder that the Phoenix ain't doing more than a glorified smelling salt over here. Why in the world would anyone think?
Oh my god, he just mentioned a glorified smelling salt. Ouch! Ouch! Ooh, that pain. Ouch.
That something so cheap could be so powerful. And it's not just Final Fantasy VII either. In Final Fantasy IV, they're even cheaper at 100 gil. And I'm not cherry picking this, folks. It's like that in every Final Fantasy game. Phoenix Downs are just incredibly affordable. So in short, we have a bunch of cheap feathers that we can offer up to the Phoenix in the hopes of him bringing back our fallen allies. It's pretty
No, it's not necessarily him, it's a it, maybe.
easy to make the connection that these are cheap, mass-produced feathers that are nowhere near the quality to give the Phoenix as an offering in exchange for revival. So Phoenix Downs in Final Fantasy can't revive the dead because they're low quality. These offerings just aren't impressive enough. And so the giant mystical firebird just, splashes some cold water on your downed party member's face and calls it a day. That is issue 1. But I do think that there's another explanation here. What if someone actually had some really nice, high-quality feathers and offered them up? What's the problem now? Well, that's where the Phoenix being dead comes into play. We can deduce deduce that the Phoenix is no longer a living creature based on the way summon materia work in this game. You see, in Final Fantasy VI, there were stones called Magicite that allowed you to cast magic and summon mystical creatures. In Final Fantasy VII, there are these stones called materia that also allow you to cast magic and summon mystical creatures.
Material.
So the connections between the two are pretty darn obvious. While things are a bit different when it comes to healing and offensive magic materia, 7's summon materia directly emulates the behavior of 6's magicite. You use the stone, it calls forth a magical being to unleash a powerful ability. That being said, 6's story revolves around how the magicite is formed. When a mystical creature is killed, their body turns into a piece of magicite, and whoever wields it can use some of the powers that the creature once had. In 7, there is no explanation for why creatures are suddenly locked in stones, but lucky for us, in the original PS1 version of Final Fantasy VII, there exists dummy text in the code that sheds some light. In the Temple of the Ancients, Sephiroth explains to Cloud's party that summons were once creatures that protected the temple, mystical beasts that sealed their consciousnesses within the materia, thereby altering their lives for eternity. This is almost exactly the way that Magicite was formed in 6, which means that the creatures inside summoned materia are no more alive than the poor girl that started this whole debate to begin with. So let's close things out, my friends. Why didn't anyone use a Phoenix Down to revive Aerith? Well, one, because modern Phoenix Downs just aren't that powerful. They're like the cheap knockoff Dolce and banana bags that they sell in China.
Oh, it's like a cheap version of a Phoenix Down. And secondly, the Phoenix is GG already. Oh.
But even if those feathers were of the highest quality, the Phoenix has long since passed away. They're being offered to the memory of the Phoenix, not the actual living, breathing creature. So like the summons in Final Fantasy VI, these stones only hold a fraction of the power that the living version once had. So in the end, you can offer up whatever feathers you want, you'll never truly have the power to revive the dead. Unless, of course, Aerith was never really dead to begin with. That's right! She might have been alive for her entire underwater burial. At least that was a theory that I had 8 years ago. I think.
Yeah. Oh, wow. 8 years ago. 8 years ago, that means like 9 years ago from now. Oh my god, now I feel old, man. Oh gosh. But still, so in TLDR, that means that it was stabbed through there, her heart, but she survived and she's just sleeping, so. She was drowned instead of stabbed to death, so.
Episode 8 of the show or something like that. If you want some old school game theory cringe, and I mean it, click the thumbnail that you see on screen right now to see why it was Cloud who killed Aerith all along. Or, you know what, just make sure that you omni-slash that subscribe button because I've got some Final Fantasy VIII theories I'd like to cover too. If you want to see those, let me know down in the comments below. We get enough comments about wanting Final Fantasy VIII theories, I will cover them all. I've got 2 already written, I've just been holding on to them until people talk about Final Fantasy again. Hopefully they are now. Not many people played the demo of Final Fantasy VII, so maybe Square Enix missed its window to release this darn thing. Anyway, I'm gonna be playing it, and I'm gonna be loving it. I hope you are too. And in
I'm loving
the meantime, remember, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you do like this video, please consider to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Do remember is like, share, subscribe, comment, and follow. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next video. But hey, that's just a theory, a game theory. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Wow, that video is quite old. Wow, the Final Fantasy video is quite old. I feel old. Thank you so much for watching this video. This video came out from my YouTube channel, The Game Theorists, from 2020 last year. Yeah, I sincerely appreciate it if you were to like, share, and subscribe to their original video and show support by commenting and following the channel as well. Thank you so much for your encouragement for everyone, and I hope that to grow this community together. Thank you. Moreover, me being a huge fan of their works, so yeah, please do show encouragement. Thank you. I sincerely appreciation, gratitude, you name it. Because from my experience, their videos are very knowledgeable, very educational, very funny, and educational. Entertainment, education, edutainment videos. Yeah. So thank you so much. Do remember to say hi then. Like, share, subscribe. And also don't forget, please remember to subscribe to my channel. Bye bye.